Welcome everyone to the August 7th, meeting of the Select Board. I'm going to start with a few announcements from the chair. First up, for BUTI, Boston University Tanglewood Institute, they are hosting a community day on August 11th from 10 to 2. As many know, BUTI has an ongoing summer music intensive program which is open to local students and students from all over the world. And on this day, they're going to have entertainment in terms of food trucks, face painting, performances from artists, and it's open to students throughout the county. It's free, and it's a way to promote their summer music intensive program. So that's that one. And then, in a long-standing tradition, the Historical Society, and in conjunction with the Academy Garden Club, they're hosting their annual flower show on Saturday, August 17th. That'll be on the porch of the Curtis. I don't know if they have specific hours. It's not listed on their announcement. But I can say it's a very long-standing tradition. They included a photo from doing this. I know this photo is small. That's from 1910. That was at Town Hall in 1910. That's how long they've had an annual flower show. So I wanted to make sure those announcements were out there. Again, for BUTI, the 11th from 10 to 2, and for the Historical Society/Garden Club, Saturday, August 17th. Finally, as many of you probably know, we have called for a special town meeting here at Town Hall at 7 p.m. On Tuesday, August 13th. And I know people are probably here to talk about that because we have something on the agenda later on. You're welcome to talk during Citizens Open Forum, but I also want to let people know we have some things that we intend to change and address based on feedback when we get to it later on our agenda under general business regarding the Town Manager Act. So with that, I'd welcome anyone from the audience to please step up if you'd like to speak at Citizens Open Forum. Of course.
Diane Romeo, 54 Reynolds Street. I just wanted to comment on the flower show since I helped organize it. 10 to 4 on Saturday. Ellen needs to apply. We haven't had enough applicants yet, so it's open to everybody up till the day of the show to make sure that we can do it, and it's on the porch of the Curtis, but I want to make sure it continues. So everybody please bring something. I don't care if it's a squash. Bring something. Thank
That's
you.
a nice spot for it, though. Yeah.
It is.
Yep.
Kinship.
I've got lots of peonies. How about that?
Peonies are good.
Yeah.
Peonies, but that's something. Tom Romeo, 54 Reynolds Street. As you mentioned, I know you're anticipating some changes to the warrant, not knowing exactly what those changes are. I was hopeful that maybe some of the revisions may include some of my thoughts here. To be brief, the requirement of a minimal bachelor's degree is required, and I would not support an article if that wasn't there. And some of the reasons are as follows. First of all, a bachelor's degree, this is kind of silly, but it's true. The bachelor's degree would at least mandate that the candidate had a high school diploma. Because right now, the requirements don't even require that. Second, many of the comments were made at the previous Board of Selectmen meeting that the government issued an executive order to institute skill-based hiring practices, and the action to eliminate the bachelor's requirements was consistent with that. Well, you really need to read the entire order. In that document, it states the workforce should be talented, diverse, capable, resilient, and the job classification shall not specify a minimum level of education as an entrance requirement unless the HR division determined that a particular degree was necessary for the job. I believe our town manager's job is one of those that would require that. Some say having a BA requirement is a barrier to access. Well, it is. That's what our professional world and licensing world is based on. For example, if you want to be an electrician, you'd have to work 8,000 hours over at least a 4-year period under the supervision of a licensed electrician and have 600 hours of board-approved education. If you want to go further and be a master electrician, you'd have to do another year and add 150 more hours of education. So, in this situation, an individual could have 3 or 4 years of supervised experience and be quite talented, but if that individual didn't have the educational requirements, that person would still not be able to be licensed. The point is, educational theory, specific course of study is needed to complement experience to qualify for specific employment opportunities. One of our residents, who happens to be a professional headhunter, sent me a brief analysis of manager postings in Massachusetts and New England. This document lists 10 locations that require at least a bachelor's, and most list a master's preferred. I'm confident there are potential applicants out there, and with a wider search and use of municipal search, with a municipal search firm, you'll find them. It's clear to me that not having a bachelor's, those positions are the outliers. In talking to some of you, I've heard that you know of town managers who are successful in their jobs despite not having a BA, and I congratulate them. I do not know if their town is more or less complex than Lenox, and if they're able to stay in that current job, that's great. But I need to emphasize that we're not here to advocate for them or should change our job requirements based off of their credentials. Our main purpose is to find the best manager for our town, and the primary goal is not to fill the job quickly, but rather find a well-educated, experienced, skilled leader, even if it takes a bit longer. As stated earlier, unless the requirements of a minimal degree at a bachelor level is included, and retaining the coursework and experiences listed in the current town charter is included, I will not support the warrant. I have no issues with changing the residence requirement. I also have to say, at the last meeting, there was a lot of talk about making a couple sentence changes in the charter isn't a big deal. It is a big deal. And that's evidenced by at the May 3rd, 2018 kickoff, at the May 3rd, 2018 town meeting, the charter review was established, a committee. That committee didn't kick off until March 13th, 19. The final report was submitted on January 15th, 2020, as required by the town meeting vote. And as per the town meeting vote, the Board of Selectmen was directed to hold a public hearing within 30 days. That never happened. The point is, the expectation of the people was that a public hearing would be held prior to any significant charter changes. Those are my thoughts. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments, Tom. I think you'll see that we intend to address that. I think she stood up just before you, but I definitely noted that you.
No, you're standing wrong. Hi, everybody. Lucy Kennedy, 35 Tucker Street. 4 things. First, thanks. I see several of the committee members doing the search are here. Thank you for volunteering. We appreciate your efforts. Number 2 thing is a but to that, which is that I'm not sure you've done a great job of communicating what you're doing to the town. There is a town email, and I'm sure people would appreciate a regular update. I think there would have been much less kerfuffle about this if people knew a little more about what was going on. Third, I want to second everything Tom just said. And fourth, I believe the letter you mentioned included thinking about getting a headhunter to do this search. And I would encourage you, I know that costs something, but I would certainly be in favor of encouraging that. I mean, it's a specialized position and an important position. And if you're having, it seems to me it's almost overly optimistic to think you can fill a position like this just by running an ad. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I'm Sue Lyman, Skirmahorn Park in Lenox. I'm here today because last night I watched the July 24th video of the Select Board meeting with my husband, and I was really shocked by what seemed to be a conclusion reached by the Select Board to remove the requirement of a bachelor's degree for the job of town manager. I'm here because I would strongly oppose removing that educational requirement. And I have before me the warrant that is on the town website, which I'm not sure if it's the plan of the board to change this warrant, but when I read, in making an appointment to the office of town manager, the selectmen shall consider the competencies a candidate brings to the job beyond traditional education. That to me sets off alarms. My lawyer self reading that says, wow, that's very vague. Most jobs require a minimum level of education. This is a nothing burger, this language. And it's concerning because I don't think it serves the town of Lenox well. And I think the town of Lenox deserves someone who has a bachelor's degree at minimum in some related field, governance, administration, finance. And the reason is it's a gosh darn complicated job. When I read over 155 and I read over Section 6 and Section 7, you got to be one bright, educated, talented human being to do all that's required of that job. And I think that what a bachelor's degree says, and I'm not discounting the fact that there are people out there who don't have these degrees who do these jobs and do these jobs well. Nonetheless, I don't think that's the standard that we should be striving for. I think we really need someone who has demonstrated an objective competence in this field, and that is shown by at least obtaining a bachelor's degree and those relevant subjects such as finance, administration, government. And that's what that is. It's an objective standard. It's not just, hey, I'm reporting in from Agawam and I'm saying that Joe Smith is an awesome town manager even though he only has a high school degree. That's just not reliable, objective standard that serves this town well. And this is a heck of a good town to be in, and thanks to good governance, thanks to having a great town manager. And I think it's desirable. I'm totally in favor of removing the residency requirement because I couldn't afford to move here myself now, even though I married, a rich retailer, LOL. Okay, I'm totally in favor of removing that residency requirement. But please, if you're going to reconsider this, please don't remove the educational component. There isn't a town. I spent my little retired hours this morning going online and seeing advertisements for town managers in Massachusetts. I don't agree with the idea that what's being posted on national, other states is relevant. It's not. What's relevant is what's being posted in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts because that's where our competition is. And it's like town of Randolph, town of Tewksbury, town of Bellingham, Lexington, Whately, all require at minimum a bachelor's degree. And everybody here knows this. They know this. So please, do the right thing for the town. Thank you.
Thanks for your comments. More people are welcome to step up, and I'll repeat that we're going to get in depth onto this issue.
Kate Bethelty Vaughn, Post Road. Like so many people in the audience, I'm in agreement with them as far as the bachelor's degree and the discussion that's taken place over the last couple of weeks. I think that we have a fine, well-intentioned Board of Selectmen, a well-intentioned group of people who are on the screening committee. And based on a conversation I had this afternoon, my understanding is that Article 2, which has thrown us all into panic, is going to actually probably be replaced by a motion, and the motion on the floor for the voters to actually vote on will only beyond the residency requirement change. That's my understanding from a conversation this afternoon. So while we may look at this warrant article, which allows the selectmen to make all kinds of edits and et cetera that have all turned us into panicked citizens, the motion that will actually show up on the floor will be just residency, in my understanding, as far as what would be edited out of the acts of 1991. I believe that's how that would work. So that's my input.
Thanks, Kate. Short?
Mary Jane in Corvia, Matina, Hubbard Street in Lenox. There's very little new that I can add to this. I don't think there's anyone in this room, and probably very few people, residents in Lenox, who would disagree with the residency requirement. The salary is nice. It's a decent salary. 140, 150K is nice. But with the median home price over 700K, I don't know if that person could even get a mortgage here unless they had mom and dad helping to put down a half of the down payment. So I don't think there's a problem with the residency requirement. I think the issue is with the educational requirement. And, you know, this isn't a snob factor. This isn't saying just hang the piece of paper on the wall. This indicates that you took some effort. You challenged yourself to go on, to get a bachelor's. Maybe it wasn't easy for you. Maybe you had a strain for the money, but you did it. And you put yourself perhaps through a ringer to do this. And coming from a scientific background, I know that chance favors the prepared mind. And you know, that's what education's supposed to do for you. It's supposed to prepare your mind. So I agree with everyone else here who said, we've got a nice town here. We were spoiled by our preceding town manager. I mean, he was a great guy, and we all loved him. And man, he had all of the educational requirements you could hope for. So the executive order from Healy is interesting when you read it. It says that there are exceptions to the rule. In other words, try to get someone with skills-based. But if you can't do it, if your needs are specific, we're going to have a town budget of pushing 40 million. With all the add-ons, that's going to go to 100 million. I mean, that's quite a chunk of change. And I think we need someone who's really skilled and educated to handle all of this. So I don't know what your machinations are and background, but I hope we can stick with the residency requirement and give a lot of thought, not hammer this thing through, because this is going to involve a lot of thought, and give the search committee, bless their souls for doing this, the possibility of hiring a headhunter to handle this. So thank you, and that's it.
Okay, well, I appreciate all the comments. Kate, you practically finished our job for us, but well, we still need to get that. We're going to get there. Let's get through the consent agenda as expeditiously as possible, and then we'll get on to the subject I think most people are here to talk about.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'll read the consent agenda. First, we have appointments. A list of members for annual appointment, reappointment, mostly reappointment, to town boards and committees is included in your packet. It's going to be appointments to the Zoning Board of Appeals, Planning Board, Historic District Commission, and Historical Society. And I could read them all if people want, or...
We could be here until tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Thank you. So next is the appointment of Mindy Moran, has served as a BRTA advisory board since last year and is interested in continuing to act as Lenox's representative to the advisory board. Sign request.
I'll just make a general hold on appointments.
Yeah. So sign request. Lenox Library Association requests to place road signs and a banner for the annual book sale. A copy of the request, including a sign placement and dates for activity, is included in your packet. A facility use request. Mark Farrell requests use of the auditorium for a performance by Wanda Houston and band from 7 to 11 p.m. on September 29th. And Lilac Park use request, as they've done for many, many years, 37 years. Lenox Youth Basketball Association requests to use Lilac Park for their 37th annual craft fair, August 9th and through 11th.
All right, well,
Want to do the holds first? And
well, why don't we, I don't think the holds will take long, excuse me, I don't think the holds will take long, so why don't we proceed through the holds and then take it all at once?
I just need to abstain from the vote on Monday morning.
Okay?
Yeah, correct. So we'll just take that one separately when it comes.
Right. So we'll do that one separately. And then my general hold on appointments is two things to say. One is what I always say, thank you to people who volunteer and offer to participate in community boards and committees. And we still need more. And second, something that I don't normally say, but I think is important to say, is that we still have people out there who have expressed interest in town boards, and we are trying as quickly as we can to make sure that the chairs are involved, the chairs of the various committees and boards are involved, and that we can continue there. We know we haven't caught everybody yet, but it's absolutely on our agenda to try to do that. And just in general, although I suppose we don't just make appointments from here and surprise the committee chair or the department chair with, hey, you got this person now or that person. So we're just trying to keep everybody in the loop, and I'm trying to do it as openly as possible. So I acknowledge that there are people out there who are waiting to hear about possible appointments, and we're on it, if that makes sense.
Can I just add one little thing on that?
Of course.
I think the traditional way we've handled or worked with people that want to be on certain boards is that person that shows an interest goes to meetings, talks to the chairman, talks to the committee members, feels it out, see if it's a good fit for them, and you're a good fit for the board. So it's a mutual thing, and it's a good working relationship when you if you do get on the board. So that's the way we'd like to see it, show you the incentive to go and actually get involved, and then you get on. I mean, we're all just volunteers doing this stuff, so that's the way it is.
Anybody else there? All right, why don't you start with a motion on the BRTA so that Max can abstain, and then we'll move on to the remainder of the consent agenda.
So I'll move that we appoint Mindy Moran to the BRTA Advisory Board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
With Max abstaining.
Is abstaining, and now I'll just do a blanket motion, thank you, Dave, for the rest of the consent agenda. That's what I'm good for.
Got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, general business. We're here to try to accomplish, I think, everybody the same goal. We have a wonderful town manager that has moved on to a new position. We're very thankful to Smitty Pignatelli for serving as interim. We've implemented a screening committee with some pretty strict requirements that they can't be involved or related in any way to folks in town who I want to thank for their work. And we've gotten to where we are today. A special town meeting to occur next Tuesday with the sole purpose of making changes that had been recommended to the special act for town to broaden eligibility for people to see if we couldn't obtain more candidates. In the interim period, people in this room, people have had discussions in town. There's been, I've had communication with members of the screening committee, and all in all, we feel like we didn't get it right the first time. So we want to make changes. And tonight we're here to talk about how to accomplish those changes. But if I could summarize, we essentially want to reverse the position on education requirements and retain that position that you've all spoken about tonight. So keep that education requirement in. In terms of residency, we feel that people seem to be bought into not making a requirement that the person be a resident of Lenox and not open it to Berkshire County. for a variety of reasons. Maybe there's other towns that are more affordable. There's certainly other towns that are more affordable. Certainly other towns that have more stock than Lenox does. There's very little in Lenox. And or there may be people within Berkshire County who could make it to Lenox and serve as a town manager, and wouldn't want to ask them to sell their house and buy a house in Lenox just to be able to be town manager. Those are the things contemplated by the words in the act that we sought to change. In doing so, I feel perhaps inadvertently, and I'm not trying to step on any toes, we crossed out some language regarding prior experience in municipal government, things like that. I myself don't think that's appropriate. It was, we're all having an open conversation. So I want this to be clear that we're not denigrating the applicants that applied. We're not denigrating the screening committee for their work. And I welcome all the opinions. So what we want to accomplish, and again, we're going to have to talk about how we accomplish this, is a rewriting of the advertisement. The advertisement is put out by the screening committee. They're at liberty to do that without town meeting. However, they asked us to make changes and have them codified by a vote at town meeting so they'd feel comfortable revising their advertisement. Hence the posting that went up last week? Friday. That everybody has read with the various components struck and a few components added. That's what people see right now. Because it's been posted, again, I'm trying to take a broad approach to this. There may be other ways to accomplish it. What I had suggested after talking with members of the screening committee on Monday was it's posted, we can't unpost it. So I was proposing, and I wrote myself actually, an amendment to the posting that put the education requirements back in, retained the openness to non-residency in Lenox, and I also returned the language about experience in prior municipal government positions. I also, shame on me, but with good intent, changed all the pronouns to gender-neutral pronouns.
Oh, like good.
There's a but, unfortunately. So here's what I drafted and sent to Smitty and Carrie and Deanna and others, because I thought this would be an amendment that we could print, and before we got to the motion at town meeting, the intent was to amend our motion before we even brought it to the floor. I believe that we are fine with retaining the education. We're fine with returning to the original language requiring experience. And we're fine with opening the residency. Our law firm, KP Law, has told me that we can't change the pronouns in just one item of the act. We have to do it to the act altogether.
Good.
Which brings me to another point that's not the subject of tonight's meeting, but I'll address it. It doesn't matter that I wasn't on the select board yet. We all are collectively saying, that's on us. We didn't take it up. The act needs a full review, and we should follow on with the full review that takes gender out of it, that takes the word select men out of it, that fixes other things that need to be fixed. That did not happen. COVID was in the way, but it's not an excuse. I think the select board, and it doesn't matter whether I was on or not, we collectively didn't do that, and that's now a priority as well. I had hoped this minor section, excuse me, I could change the pronouns here, but I'm told I can't, or we can't. So,
You're doing good so far.
I have a question.
Please.
You had also struck language, proposed striking language limiting previously elected officials in town from holding the position of town manager, right?
Well, that,
We didn't strike that.
well, it did get struck.
Yeah.
I think inadvertently, I think that entire paragraph, it started with they shall have a college degree and finishes with no person holding elective office in town within 3 years shall be eligible.
So will that bit be returned?
We have to discuss it. If you were to ask me, I think we should eliminate that part, if we're allowed.
Eliminates.
I think we should eliminate the wording that says, no person holding elective or appointed office in the town hall within 3 years holding such office shall be eligible for appointment as town manager.
So you want to strike, you want to keep that struck in addition, you want to keep that bit struck?
I know it's complicated, so
May I ask a clarifying question?
Go.
Are you referring to section 3 of the chapter 155? Yes, just section 3. Section 3, chapter
we're talking about section 3.
Right, and you're referring to the sentence, no person holding elective or appointed office in the town shall within 3 years holding such office be eligible for appointment as town manager.
That's correct.
That's what you're referring to.
Yes.
And you're wishing to strike that in the amended, the one material that goes before the town meeting.
He sounds like he wants to keep it out. That's correct.
Well, so let's talk semantics. And we have about 9 versions of this, unfortunately, because that's what happens when we're not in open session and can all be communicating at the same time, and people have sent in different drafts. So, if I may, let's work off of what people have seen, the one that was posted.
Yes.
Is that, because probably most of you have that, correct? Okay, so we're talking about, it's Article 2 for the town meeting, but what we're referring to is language changes of Section 3. My proposed edits and what I'm proposing the board accept are that first new sentence that's in bold and underlined: in making an appointment to the office of town manager, the selectmen shall consider the competencies of a candidate brings to the job beyond traditional education. My proposal in my amendment is to remove that.
Right, and that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yes,
I think everybody
understands that.
pretty much understands that,
Yeah.
is in agreement with that.
Right. And that's the goal of what we're doing here, is to remove that section.
But then what about the next bit? That's
Okay, I'm doing one thing at a time.
Could I ask a question about that sentence?
I'm fine with it. I'm treading on trying to hold a select board meeting and not a town meeting all at once. So bear with me. I welcome comments and thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, so this was marked as something that would be added.
Can you speak up, please, for the
The part that's underlined in making an appointment, that's something that was added.
That is language that was added to the article, which sought to change the wording of Section 3 of the Acts. That is what's in front of the entire town right now as the subject for consideration at the town meeting next Tuesday. Given the fact that we've heard feedback and we ourselves have had time to reflect and heard comments from many different people, we want to change this. We can't change what's been posted. So the method by which we hope to accomplish this at Town Hall is to make an amendment prior to this motion hitting the floor.
So my suggestion would be, in reading that, I think it's fair and helpful to consider competencies that someone brings. And instead of saying beyond, say in addition to traditional education.
sense?
I appreciate your thoughts.
Or you're going to just take that section that's underlined out.
Probably
That's what he said. He's planning to take that section out.
I understand that, I'm talking,
But my question is about the striked bits. That's struck, and what's.
we're not on the struct, no, we're really on the.
I'm trying to take
Last year.
one word. Do you have a copy?
I am looking at one right now.
Okay. I'm trying to take it one step at a time because I need my 4 fellow members here to agree. And I understand the feedback. I think the predominant feedback that we've heard is that this is the proverbial opening a can of worms, which is why rather than our previous idea to insert it, we'd simply take this out.
Yeah, can I just make just one suggestion, and then I'll shut up, I promise, for the rest of the time. Could you just deal with the residence increase itself? Leave all the rest of it alone.
Unchanged.
Subject to perhaps in November, reestablishing a charter review committee to go through the whole process again.
That's what we're trying to accomplish.
That's what we're trying to accomplish.
I think, can I just comment on what you said so far?
Let's all take a deep breath.
So I think what Tommy sums it up right there. Everything that we crossed out or highlighted in this original one, the only thing we really want to put in there or omit in there is the residency requirement. I see no reason why we have to change anything else from the original.
You don't want to omit the residency requirements.
Well, take the, you know what I mean, okay, whichever,
To be exact.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think everybody realizes what I'm saying.
Well,
We just want to have
we
that.
need to make sure that we all agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, but the the parts about, the one that's in bold writing here on the actual warrant, that would still be in there. And the, all this part that was struck out would still hold up. It's only the part for the residency requirement, plain and simple, I would guess. That's my opinion.
Mr. Chairman, should I weigh in?
Sure.
So by eliminating the competency phrase that the chairman just referenced, we go back to the original charter, which I have right here, and it clearly states, he shall have a college degree at the bachelor level, and shall have completed courses in the fields of administration, finance, and business, and shall have had 3 years of full-time paid experience in a supervisory administrative position in municipal government. A master's degree may substitute for not more than 1 year. So we're going back to the original language, which is just what you've been advocating for. So I think there's nothing more to talk about in that regard. The motion would be eliminating the residency requirement, plain and simple. We're not touching the education.
With the condition of Berkshire County.
In fact, change it to Berkshire County.
Just a comment, I mean, this is redundant, what we have in the warrant. I mean, you have that first sentence, and then you have a second sentence saying the same thing in a different way. So striking the old underline is fine, because you go back to, saying the select board is fitted by education, training, and previous full-time. I mean, it's redundant.
I think that's what Neil was suggesting.
Exactly.
So getting rid of that is fine, and I think I like Tom's thing, let's just deal with the residency.
Okay, so if everyone could please hold comments.
Yeah.
There's too much group wordsmithing. Some people, everyone's different. Some people think of it simple, and in simple terms, I would say we want to go back to all the original language of Section 3, with the exception of adding flexibility in residency. That's the goal. Some people want to hear about it word by word. Some people are comfortable with just that as a goal. Please.
In all these deep deliberations, what you have now looks as though it's only for a male client, and I suggest that it's important that you change the language to respect pronouns. That makes it more universal.
I appreciate that very much, Olga, because in what I wrote to Smitty, Deanna, and Carrie Monday morning, I did exactly that. I changed all the pronouns. Unfortunately, help me out, Smitty, but
Yeah.
KP Law said we can't change one section of the acts without addressing the entirety of the act.
That can be addressed in this motion. The motion has to be consistent with the language that's in the act. That's state law. So we have to be consistent with the "he" aspect, because that's what's in our charter. The legislature can then change it to "they," which we will do. And then if the Charter Commission gets back together again, we should be addressing the "he" to "they" and selectmen to select board. But that has to be consistent with the current law. And that's why the phrase "he" is in there. We will address that in Boston.
Will that happen before we begin to advertise?
No.
But,
Mary Jo.
Mary Jo Perrin, when we post the job, we can say he, she, or it.
Sure.
Yep.
So nobody really will read this warrant other than town people. But when we post the job description,
Yes.
we'll say.
That's right. We have to be consistent with the law that's on the books today. The advertisement is a whole
Okay.
different conversation.
I get it.
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, I'll stress that it's long overdue.
Yeah.
You know, I think I had something to do with at least the fact that it says board member as opposed to selectmen under our names up here. Because I've been trying to say select board forever. We're long overdue in changing the pronouns. We want to. We dropped the ball when the Charter Review Committee suggested it. It's going to be taken up again. Unfortunately, keep in mind, we're all here because of the time sensitivity of finding a new town manager candidate. And that's why, although I very much dislike calling for a town meeting mid-late summer because I don't feel that's a good time frame for it, we sort of don't have a choice because our dear friend can't be here forever. And we need to find someone to replace Smitty/Chris.
Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Go.
So the only change to chapter 155 will be 3 words. Or the county, after shall become a resident of the town or the county. That's what this town meeting will be about.
Yeah. That's
That's it.
there, Beth.
Yep.
I see a lot of nods and I see one not so sure.
No, that's not the question. I'm in complete agreement with what you said, but to be perfectly clear about what you said, in the warrant, it says that you're authorized to make revisions by insertions and strike-throughs. So it has to be clear to everyone that the part that we see at the section here, which is underlined, was an insertion, so that will be removed, and the strike-through will be put back in.
Right.
Yeah, and the only thing that will show up in the warrant for a motion will be the additional language in reference to residency. So just so that everybody knows what's in, what's out, what's around.
The town meeting does not vote on the posting. The town meeting votes on the motion. And the motion clearly states, as the Select Board Member Smith said, adding a couple of words. In fact, we should probably read the motion, I would think. The town manager shall be a citizen of the United States, and although he need not be a resident of the town of or the Commonwealth when appointed, shall become a resident of the town or the county during the first year of his appointment. That's what the town meeting is voting for, not the posting of last week. So we got to keep it clear on that. So what's deleted in the motion versus the posting last week is irrelevant. We don't vote on the posting. The town votes on the motion. That is the motion that I just read. It's really that simple. Two words.
That's
3 words.
something we have to be very careful about and be sure we get it right.
Yep.
Whether it's going to be an amendment to the motion or it's going to be that. There's a fine line, so we have to know, we want to keep it as, everybody knows what we're doing. We want to keep it as simple, but as legal as you can. You know, it's got to be right.
Yeah.
Right, so my goal, our goal, is to have listened to people's feedback since the last time we met, incorporate that feedback, keep it very simple so that the screening committee can go off and accomplish their mission of a broader pool of candidates, and hopefully candidates that will have the qualifications and be interested in this position.
Mr. Chairman, question, I'm a little confused. Are you keeping the language about the years of experience?
Yes.
Okay, as it currently is?
What it says currently in the town manager.
Within, okay.
Yes, so again, different people see things different ways. On the one hand, we're saying the only change is the addition of Berkshire County, but because I heard your question, I also will address that and say, yes, that language will go back to being in Section 3.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate the explanation and the dialogue and the discourse.
Well, I mean, this is what towns are about, right? We're trying to accomplish something and also hear the feedback and react to the
I
feedback.
appreciate you hearing it. It's a little bit of fun to partake in the conversation. So
Do you need to do a formal vote on this main language for the motion? Okay.
Well, let's take a deep breath because we're trying to
I think you're there.
get what we want. And I appreciate, again, I appreciate everyone who weighed in because this is important. And we are trying to accommodate that while also accommodating the screening committee and their desire to have, better success in identifying the candidate, for lack of a better term. So with that, I think, can you think of a motion to make that we would?
I think it's here.
How about we have KP Law review what we've laid out here tonight, removing? Yeah, okay, they have it, okay.
How about,
Came up with.
Okay,
how about we
great.
be decisive?
Okay, sure, yeah, let's do it.
Let's accomplish what we just, let's codify what we just accomplished.
Great.
So Ed, why don't you move to say something along the lines of, I agree with the changes that we intend to make and intend to present to town meeting next week, to just include changes to the residency requirement or something like that.
Okay, I'll make a motion. We, per our discussion here tonight, next week when we have our town meeting the only changes to make from the original Town Manager Act is to allow or change the residency requirement to living in Berkshire County, or Lenox or Berkshire County.
Insert the 3 words, or the county,
Yes. Right,
after shall become a resident of the town.
Right.
correct. That's what I said.
Yes.
Yes, you did.
So I'll second that.
All right. Are we all in favor of that?
You know what? Ma'am.
All in favor? Aye. Okay.
And it's not we'll have a forum.
I just really want to thank you guys for listening to this. So there's been a lot of angst out there. Hopefully I'll get a nice space tonight. But, seriously, and I wasn't sure exactly what you're going to do, otherwise I wouldn't have said what I did. But again, thank you for listening and making the necessary changes. It's really important. And again, I would just hope that we reestablish the charter review committee. Because probably 90% of the work charter committee does.
Could you repeat the date and the time and the place of that special town meeting?
Okay, folks, and those out there, please come. Next Tuesday, August 13th, 7 p.m. I anticipate having this discussion tonight will make that not a terribly long meeting.
We're as well attended.
Well, we want you to come.
That's important.
Where will the town meeting be? Here.
Here.
Didn't tell them all.
I'd like to second what Tom said. This was really wonderful. It was real participatory democracy. Thank you. Not every town can enjoy this, which is too bad. Thank you.
Thanks for that.
Will you post the newly edited version?
Okay.
A nod.
Looks like
All right.
Good job. Motion to adjourn.
fair take.
Motion.
Have we, we've done everything?
I'll ask Mary Jo, have we addressed everything that you need to have addressed for your advertisement?
Yes, you have.
Okay.
And are you folks going to work with Lindsay Patnod to
Sorry, what?
do the, are you folks going to work with Lindsay to make the new,
We have made it and sent it to Lindsay. We were supposed to send it to you for this meeting tonight, but now it will be changed
Yeah.
slightly.
the salary will be in that too, that we
Yeah.
have to change?
I think we've previously signaled that you're at will to, think of the salary as being flexible as necessary.
Okay. Is that the word you want us to say as opposed to? Did she send you the?
No,
thing that we wrote?
We've not seen it.
No, I told her to stop because things were changing. This language is changing from the original posting, or the original draft. So, because we had some of the educational stuff in the advertisements that was being amended next Tuesday. So I told her to hit the pause button today until we get a clear direction from the board.
So what we said was salary range is 135 to 155 and negotiable based on qualifications and experience.
Sounds good.
Is that okay?
Yeah, sounds good, yeah.
You're welcome to see this, and because there's only this one bullet point that we're going to remove,
Yeah.
if you want it.
She's going to write up something in the board days.
Oh, wait. Let me just make sure it says it right there.
Well, the advertisement is for you folks to deliberate on, and it sounds like you've accomplished that, and there'll be some minor tweaks based on tonight. That doesn't, I don't think that we need to approve or convene on it as a select board body prior to our town meeting.
Okay.
Our goal is to simply, we did what we did tonight, and now I hope that you folks feel empowered to be off to the races to do what you wanted to do in terms of your advertisement.
Are we at liberty to plug in numbers and say negotiable?
Yeah. Yes.
Negotiable? Yeah, that's a fine, yeah, that's,
But I mean, can we actually put numbers? 135 to 160 or what?
I think it needs to put numbers down.
I do too.
We were told that certain of the sites where we needed to post required numbers.
right. They were?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can have the negotiable word too, but you had to have a range. That's what we were told at the last meeting.
We wanted to give you flexibility
Yeah.
so that you could do what you needed to do based on site requirements and other things. And we're okay with numbers. We're okay if you feel that you don't. I didn't think that we wanted to instruct you with too much
With
detail one
numbers?
way or the other.
You're not going to limit us with numbers?
It doesn't mean we have to pay.
Yes.
I think the range that you mentioned earlier is appropriate. And you can negotiate up, it's hard to negotiate down. And I think it's important to have the advertisement after the town meeting vote next week to make reference to what the town actually did on August 13th, 2024.
Which we did, yeah.
Because without that, a candidate will look at the act and see that there's a residency requirement.
Right.
So making that confirmation, which you can't do till next Tuesday, I think
Yeah,
that's
the
important.
posting's not going to go out till after the special town
Correct.
meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we get a valid vote on Tuesday, I really believe it could be posted on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I know we didn't get everything that everybody wanted in there, like the pronoun changes and other things, but we are going to address that. I certainly anticipate the normal cycle, November-ish special town meeting for things like Chapter 90 funds for the roads and things like that. So if that's possible to take up at that time, we can. If it's not ready by that time,
I
we'll
think
do it
we
as
should
soon as we can.
reconvene the group that wrote that up, Mary Basker and Joe,
Yeah.
and have you guys, Tom, you want it?
I have
Most of the drafts.
But if, I'd appreciate if all you folks could get together dust it off, look it over, maybe in 2 or 3 years you change your mind on certain little things, but just tweak it the way, so it's ready to go to town meeting, that way. And you got it this far, so just make sure it's 100%.
We talk graduate schools.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. And thanks for your patience with us trying to get through this.
You did great job.
Could I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.